Well, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Center for Contemporary Culture at Hartford Public Library. We are honored this evening to host a panel discussion on Hartford's urban learning environment and to partner with our friends at Connecticut Historical Society. We encourage you to visit the CHS-curated exhibit, Building Public Education in Hartford, at the Hartford History Center on the third floor of this building. It's open today, and it's on view until November 30th. At this time, I would like to welcome to the podium the Executive Director of the Connecticut Historical Society, Mr. Jody Blankenship.
Well, welcome and thank you for coming tonight. This exhibit began with the donation of a fantastic collection of pen and ink drawings from the Welling family. Richard Welling, many of you know, is an artist who really documented Hartford and its changing built environment over time. And when we first got that collection in, we thought, isn't this a great way to explore the city of Hartford and the changing built environment? Because we began with an assumption that the built environment really is a record of our aspirations over time. Whether those have succeeded or failed, they're who we always wanted to be, and they really record where we've wanted to go. So we felt like we needed to do an exhibit on that, and it couldn't just be at our building over in the west end of Hartford. If you're going to explore the built environment, you need to do it in the built environment. So we were really happy to team up with some great partners around the city, and this is the first of a series of programs that we're going to be doing exploring topics that we felt were important to the city, they're important to us, and we wanted to have a discussion not just about where we've been, but how that leads to where we are and where we want to go next. So, again, I'd like to thank the Hartford Public Library for partnering with us on the satellite exhibit in this evening's program. And I also want to put a plug in for our November 5th program called Reimagining Hartford, Creating the New City, where we'll have a group of people and organizations working on innovative solutions to challenges facing Hartford. I'd also like to thank our sponsors for this evening, CREC and Lincoln Financial Foundation. And I'd like to welcome Marlene Ferrara, Senior Program Officer at Lincoln Financial, and Dina Crowell, Superintendent at CREC, to come up and to be thanked and to say a little bit about your organizations.
Well, thank you to the Connecticut Historical Society and to the Hartford Public Library for giving me this opportunity tonight, because not only is it an excellent program, but it's a wonderful time for me to see some of Lincoln's grantees. And I thank you all for coming out on a not so great weather night. I just want to reinforce that Lincoln Financial Foundation is not just a grant maker. We are investing in Hartford. We're partnering with nonprofits, the school system, and city leaders. We're sharing best practices to benefit all of our work and those that we serve. And we're seeking opportunities to facilitate change. So tonight is one of those examples of Lincoln Financial Foundation reaching out, and I'm so glad you could share it. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm happy to welcome you here tonight on behalf of our Executive Director, Dr. Bruce Douglas, who is not able to be here. My name is Dina Crowell, and I serve as the Superintendent of CREC Schools. I have spent a good portion of my career in education thinking about ways to develop creative and effective learning spaces that will actively engage our students. First, by designing creative learning spaces in my classroom as a teacher at Clark School in Hartford, at Batchelder, and at Milner. And then later by leading and supporting other educators to create innovative learning spaces that would inspire and energize students as an instructional leader both in Hartford Public Schools and now at CREC. I can tell you with great certainty that spaces matter. A school is one of the most important buildings in our community. For many students, it's a safe place, it's an inviting place, and it's a constant in their lives. That is why CREC has taken such care in building buildings, schools, and designing spaces that would have a positive impact on teaching and learning. We believe that learning spaces need to be inviting and motivating. They must support the diversity of learning styles. They should be flexible, rich with information and technology, and accessible to all students. Discussions such as these tonight are critical to developing the landscape for learning as we prepare for our students for the 21st century, as 21st century learners. In the world's ever-changing environment inspired by advances in technology, it is the only way we can ensure that students that are graduating, it is important that our schools keep up with and reflect with these changes in technology. And it's the only way we can ensure that our students are graduating from our schools with the essential thinking and learning skills needed to be academically, socially, and emotionally prepared for lifelong learning and global citizenship. We are thrilled that this panel discussion also reflects the renewed partnership between Hartford Public Schools and CREC. Together, we are making significant positive changes on behalf of the children here in Hartford. Through projects such as the turnaround work at Clark School, we're working together to improve existing spaces and to create new spaces for learning, spaces that children will be proud of to call their school. So thank you for being here tonight to share your ideas on Hartford's urban learning environment, and I look forward to hearing our panelists on the topic. Thank you.
Well, now I'd like to introduce tonight's moderator. James Thompson Jr. is Superintendent of Schools for the town of Bloomfield. He's a graduate of Hartford Public High School, and he began teaching elementary school in Hartford. He spent his career working in environments where significant portions of the population are at or below the poverty level. He's built teams of stakeholders to transform some of the lowest performing schools, and James's leadership has garnered national, regional, and state recognition for improvements in student performance. We are pleased to have him moderate tonight's discussion. James, I'm going to hand it over to you.
Colleagues and friends, thank you for joining us this evening. Tonight, we will be discussing the Hartford urban learning environment. Bertrand Russell once said, "In all affairs, it's a healthy thing now and then to hang a question mark on the things you have long taken for granted." Sage advice, ladies and gentlemen. This evening, there are 3 P's that we're going to adhere to. And the first one, this evening's purpose, is to explore how the educational spaces impact our experiences. The process, or our process, is that key leaders will talk about the Hartford urban learning environment and the payoff. At the conclusion of our brief time together, I hope that this experience will achieve 2 things. Number 1, it will test assumptions that we hold about learning spaces in Hartford and what these spaces mean to our community. And number 2, deepen our understanding of its history's impact. According to Peter Senge, learning organizations are organizations where people continually expand their capacity to create the results they truly desire, where new and expansive patterns of thinking are nurtured, where collective aspiration is set free, and where people are continually learning to see the whole together. And at this time, I'm pleased to introduce our panelists. I understand that Matt Poland is unable to attend, but the next panelist is, I have on my list, is Dr. Beth Navarez, who came to Hartford this year as the new superintendent of the Hartford Public Schools. And I want to say congratulations on your 100-plus days. You have just completed and submitted your report. I look forward to reading it. Tyler Smith is an architect who has worked on many school projects. And in his own right, he's also the had an historical impact on the face of Hartford. Tim Sullivan is a lifelong resident of Hartford who served the school district for 23 years before moving to CREC as an assistant superintendent. So, colleagues, today we will explore 6 questions. And panelists, if you don't mind coming forward. Colleagues, we will explore 6 questions. Panelists will have the opportunity to respond to each of the questions, and we have about 30 minutes for our planned discussion, after which we will open the floor for questions and comments from the audience. Let me begin with the first question, and there's no order in terms of who must go first, but the first question is, how is Hartford building and rebuilding its educational spaces?
Excuse me, Doctor. Tyler Smith's going to do a short PowerPoint presentation first
Okay.
before we get to the questions.
Okay, you want to do your
Sure.
Just go right ahead. You can think about that question. Okay.
Excellent question. Excellent question. Well, first of all, I want to say how pleased I am to be here. When the subject is Hartford, its architects, and schools, that pretty much wraps up everything I have to say. That's pretty much what I've been doing for my, all my civic and professional life in Hartford. So I'm delighted here to be talking about that subject. I guess the most fundamental point I'd like to make, and it echoes your comments, is that I've long believed that the social mission of architecture is every bit as important as its aesthetic aspirations. And I find no building type that better offers the opportunity to bring these two themes together better than one, and what could be better than one generation building schools of distinction for the next generation and the following generations. And so using schools as a departing point or for this discussion, I thought I could just maybe scroll through several slides that kind of try and trace the history of Hartford and its schools, school buildings, some of them, the loss of them, and I think in turn with that, the loss in some of the quality of education and the now renaissance or re-emerging commitment to both great schools of design and great schools of